the S&P 500, we have NASDAQ, and they're continuing the dip. We've talked about why this is happening, and we've talked about what to overall expect. And what's surprising is that you're not seeing more reaction from buyers. You're not seeing more aggression. You're not seeing any continuation to the upside. So I'm going to show you exactly how to spot that buying when it does start to occur. But ultimately, I'm going to point to why I expect more downside as well. Now, if you've been on the channel, we've been talking about our levels on futures, on SPY, and then the biggest opportunities with some of these stocks as well, which I'm going to go to later in the video, some equities as well. But again, you just have to have an understanding of the short term versus the longer term view. And people keep saying, well, when do you buy? When do you this? When do you that? If you're a long-term investor, the dip is the best time to buy. Not financial advice, do what you got to do, but you just slowly buy stock just over time. That's all you do. You don't look at where it's at, how much it's down, because if I looked at the S&P down in 2022, I would have just cried. But if I didn't buy the S&P, if I wasn't buying NVIDIA, I wouldn't have made the rewards over the next 2 years on that investment. So that's how you have to think. And if you can't think like that, then just trade short term if that's what you want to do. So again, I'm going over the short term, long term, etc. So really going over more the short term right now. So the S&P, let's a really quick refresh this. I made a little video for Twitter, which I do recommend. Really quick, guys, got to plug myself, right? I recommend that you follow on Twitter. I post videos, I post updates on there for my favorite stocks, what I'm looking for. I posted Apple earlier. I said this thing right here, 214.5, it breaks. It's going to start dropping to 206 and to 199. Also too. Now, we also traded that today in Discord, as you guys can see here. If you're interested in Discord, what we do, what we trade, everything like that, the link is down below to learn more about it. We're in there all day, every day, and it's a one-man show this week. What can I say? But again, Apple, we look for the breakdown of 214.7, still trying to get below 213.9, and then we're looking for, I think, our target, like we said back here. We can actually zoom up. That was way this morning at 9:30. We were looking down for 212 to 211, and we're actually getting more of a drop there, as you can see, currently in that position, but wrapping it up as we speak, as we dropped right down into our target. That was mentioned. So again, all that links down there. Do what you got to do, futures, etc. Every single day you can see what's happening. And I recommend, guys, if you are interested in futures, a link for futures is down below as well. But I'm telling you, the futures levels have been an absolute money printer. Absolutely. Again, talking about that this morning, we looked for pre-market lows and then breaking down even further. That's what you got. So let's talk about why we're looking at downside. Why are we looking for that continuation, and ultimately how to make money during this type of market? So I went over this a little bit on Twitter, but I wanted to do it here as well. Now, you can do this a few ways. I think futures give you the best overall look. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now. You might not agree with me. It is what it is. But you're going to notice the chart's just a lot cleaner. Okay, and you'll get better examples. But I'm going to do SPY first, and then I'll go into what's happening as well with the futures, because again, I think it gives you more. So I'm going to clean the charts off, which I hate doing, but I'm going to do it for you. So SPY right now, as you can see, your previous high here, that's what we were looking at right there. Basically 565, 564, which we talked a lot about this previous week. And it's important that we understand why we have to look at these things, because these are what give you the instance of knowing when a bottom is being put in, right? So what are we looking at here? So again, you go to the 4 hour, 2 hour, whatever it may be. And ultimately what's happening, and you'll see it better, is you're getting a retrace, right? You broke down through a massive level, you're retesting, and you're trying to push back down. Now, I'm going to tell you why SPY is even worse. Like, SPY to me points to a terrible picture. Number one, you broke below your 200 daily moving average and you did not retest it. You have the initial break and test, but no breakdown, like with separation to come. That's ugly. That's kind of what I was waiting for like a heavy shorts again, but terrible. A step further though, that's what you're really looking at there. You can see clearly the bear flag that's formed out here, back into this overall level, the SR flip there. You can see clear as day. There's no question about it, right? Clear as day. Now, that's the SPY. Now, I think futures give you a better view, okay? And I'm going to explain and then give you an example really with volume, okay? So what I'm going to do really quickly is point out, let's actually just clear off the drawings. So just from a viewpoint of taking a step back, you've gone down essentially in the past 25 days from basically all-time highs, 22.3 down to 19.3. A 3,000 point drop on the NASDAQ in under a month. Pretty bad. Now, the other thing we're looking at here is, well, where are we at and what retest are we going to get? Now, the 200 SMA, I do want to go into this first. You saw we broke below. Let's adjust really quick so you can see. But again, you saw the 200 SMA, clear as day. You're rejecting at your 200 SMA, clear as day. You did the similar action near your 100 MA as well, which we talked a lot about also. So you can go into that and go get a better view, things like that as well. So what we're looking at, where we're at right now, very important to understand. Now, where things get, this is actually your 50 SMA. I was doing a demonstration earlier, but I'm going to leave the 50 SMA because we go into that in a sec. Okay. You broke down, push down. So what's interesting is what you typically expect is you break, you retest, and then you continue. That's what we talk about all the time on the channel. Now, what I want to talk about here is volume, because volume is very, very helpful. And it doesn't really, like I say all the time, there's a few things in the world that won't lie to you, right? Women lie, men lie, your best friend might lie. Customer service definitely lies, right? But the levels on this chart and the volume typically don't lie. Very low probability, right? You might get tricked up, you might get stumped a little bit, but they won't lie to you, okay? So what we're looking at here, we're gonna go to volume in a sec. So what happened? Let's just quickly mark out, just naked eye. You come into your previous low that you established last week. This is last week's low. Very important to understand. Last week's low right here. Now, what happens right here? You get CPI data from Wednesday, okay? And CPI pushes you up, and from there, you get nothing, just lower highs. Now, this is, in my opinion, what's happening and how you can see it. Clear as day, bear flag. Clear as day. I mean, I haven't seen, there's honestly a picture-perfect bear flag. I've been telling on Twitter, here, everywhere, right? Can't believe it. It's so weak, okay? And honestly, you didn't even, my level that I had was up here like at 19,808, which you almost hit, but you didn't hit. So again, rejecting there so far, okay? Now, the other part here is what's also happening. From yesterday into this went all the way into today. Look at the lower highs, okay? Clear as day, lower highs established, and you eventually drop down this morning, which is why, again, we were looking for the downside here in Discord, which we talked about, right? Holding to 19.5, looking for a break into 1903, in a pre-market lows for downside, and then 19,030. We'll talk about that in a sec, okay? Breaking down, obviously speaking here. Now, just looking at the chart, just looking at what's happening from buyers, sellers, etc., okay? What do you want to see? And let's talk about volume for a second. So when price action is moving like this, right? There's two times you want to see volume increase, okay? When we're just trending in a direction, right? We're just slowly going up, right? Or slowly going down over time. Volume typically will slow down because you don't need high volume. You don't need an uptick in pressure to continue in the same direction, okay? Right? When you're meeting if I'm pushing against something, once I get going, I don't need to, like I'm pushing a car, right? You don't need to keep pushing as hard as you did in the beginning. The beginning is typically the hardest. Or if you're getting over a bump, then you got to push a little bit harder, right? So when there's resistance or you're changing the direction from a standstill, guess what? You need to increase volume. So important to understand that, right? So the first instance is sideways movement, which is kind of what we're getting with consolidation, whether it's a bear flag, basing, whatever it may be, right? So you'll get good volume maybe into this level, breaking down, and then once you start consolidating, volume will slow down. So volume in this period will be dry. It will constrict and lower, right? Which is kind of what we're seeing. And then when you break out of this, and either in continuation or back to the upside for a reversal, you will see increased volume, typically, high percentage of the time. Now, if you're continuing, I expect lower volume than a reversal. Reversals typically have better volume because it's going to take more pressure to get it back up, right? So again, what are we seeing here? Well, let's look at volume. And we need to go to the daily to really look here. Now, again, let's talk about what's really happened, right? I need to get rid of all that shit too. Let me get rid of all that. Sorry, I gotta get rid of all that real quick. It's gonna bother me. It's gonna bother me. It's gonna bother me. It's gonna bother me. Okay, back to the daily. What are we seeing here on volume? Well, it's very clear. At the highs, it was slowing down, which is fine. You don't need great volume to break out, which is why you broke into almost all-time highs. But then what happens here, as you can clear as day see, volume starts to uptick. And what happens is you're breaking straight down. But the crazy part is you break down with high volume. That's the concerning part. Now, another interesting part here we got to watch for is this day right here. What is this pretty little day? It's some of your best volume you saw, almost as high. It's actually higher than all your breakdown volume. What is that? It's when you break down and you fail to remount the 100-day or 200-day moving average. Massive, massive concern. Okay. Buyers step in and they do nothing, right? Terrible. And then you continue breaking down with increased volume. Now, what happens over the past, periods of pulling back here? Volume has constricted. It's slowed down. It's gotten weaker, right? So as you're pushing up yesterday, we go look at the volume. Again, 69 million on SPY, then 22 million on the day. Again, it was 88, which was still a little bit lackluster compared to the big drop you had on Monday, but it's important to understand where we're at now. So again, now you're at 22. Again, this will probably uptick a little bit if we start to really break down below lows, but to break out, you need to break the lows, okay? So that's where we're at right now. And that's what's happening, right? So even now, as you're kind of breaking this little structure, sellers haven't even stepped in, which is very important to understand. And this is a way more technical video than I'm going to usually post, right? But to get a breakdown, what you want to see is getting below that low you had on Monday, right? So breaking below 19.14 or whatever, right? That's what you want to see. And you're just not getting that yet, okay? Until you break down there, buyers are kind of in the driver's seat right now. They're the ones that are like, we can step in, we don't have to step in. But the concerning part is the best thing that happened to you all week, right? And we talked about good, bad, ugly, whatever, right? It was CPI. CPI and PPI came out great. And it showed that inflation is on track, right? Which is in theory good. But the Fed has made it very clear, which is what we talked about. They don't want to cut until they see what Trump is doing, the impacts of Trump's policy on the market. Why would we cut? Why would we open up ourselves to possibly cutting too soon or making an issue? Why would we do that, right? Very important. So as data keeps going in the right direction, they're like, well, we're going to let this go. We're going to let inflation keep going down. We're going to let Trump do his thing, and then we'll cut whenever the market really needs it, right? That's what they're doing. And so the market's like, well, why are we going to bounce? We're not going to bounce, right? Which is why I keep saying nothing has changed on the downside thesis. Everyone's literally sitting at the table. It's like we're all sitting at a table. We're looking at the market, and we're just waiting for some shit to blow up, right? Everyone's just waiting. Everyone's just sitting at the table. We're waiting. I'm like, okay, well, let's see this unemployment shit. Let's see it get bad. Let's see GDP expectations get destroyed, right? That's what they're waiting for, okay? And that's really where we're at. And so buyers are not getting involved. Now, I could be wrong. Buyers could step in tomorrow. We could see, right? That's why I'm saying you have to wait for the breakdown, increase volume. It'll help you, give you a better viewpoint. So that's where you're at right now. So between yesterday and today, I have gotten more confidence than ever of the potential downside. Now, the next part of this video, right? We talked a lot about this. We've gone into viewpoints. I'm going to go into equities in a sec too. I want to make this last part clear or really simple, right? Let's zoom out again to the daily. This is your 50 EMA, the green line. I've changed it from your 100 to your 50 just for the video. This is your 200. Again, I don't think people want to talk about it, right? No one wants to talk about the elephant in the room. No one wants to talk about the worst case scenario. It's not a fun subject to talk about. I get it. I get it. But I think we have to. This is considered a death cross if those cross. Your 50-day, 200-day. Go look it up if you need to look it up, whatever. It's on Investopedia. You're welcome. You're welcome, okay? Last time this happened was back February 2022. Now, I will say, again, I'm not saying you're going to have a 2022 crash. I'm not saying that, right? But it's important to understand what's happening here and overall how we're moving. It's also important to see is you have idiots on social media saying that this move right here that we're getting, oh, this is it's just like August. Hey, this is just like August back here. This is not like August. Be very clear. These moves down that we had were not based on American economic policy. You have to understand that. The only one that I could consider a major issue, potentially, was when we had the bank shut crisis last year. Like, was that 2023? I think was the year. I don't know what year it was, to be honest. I can't even remember. But that was the only scenario that was like scary, right? But the market really didn't even care. This is all based on economic policy and how it's going to affect unemployment, the consumer, etc. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm not trying to make people panic, but it's important that we're honest. And again, people have platforms that have no education, right? They just get up and they look at charts. And again, I'm doing a lot of chart stuff here, but it's important that we can disconnect stupidity with some sort of reason and logic, okay? And that's why this is really concerning here. Now, again, I personally think you should have got a better bounce. Like, I'm shocked that you haven't. But this is the major concerns that are out there. And again, the death cross happens. I mean, I'm just saying. Like, typically it doesn't work very well. Typically, right? But we'll see. Maybe people will get bearish in 3 months. We'll see. But that's where we're at, okay? Now, that's my viewpoint of the markets, levels, everything like that. You're really only concerned about getting like very bearish here again is if you break below those lows on NASDAQ. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, stocks. You guys came for the stocks, so I'm going to give you as many as I can in 5 minutes. Number one, NVIDIA. NVIDIA came into our level that we mentioned. We have a little pin in here. You broke up and you rejected after you got the gap fill, kind of pushing back down. I want to see NVIDIA get back below 115.8. After that, you're looking for 112.3, and that's where you're at. I was looking for the short actually on the day, but you never got the 5-minute candle close. I'll actually show you guys exactly what I was looking for, right? So it was this kind of intraday low from yesterday. I was looking for the break and retest. You just never got on the 5 minutes, so I couldn't do it. Anyways, so you bounced up, and that's where we're at now. Now, going on a little bit further, I still think semis are very weak. AVGO in particular, getting below 193. This is an aggressive short, in my opinion. If you want to go, I'm not doing it. I'm not in a position here. AVGO under 193, I think probably pushes back down. Where you get really bearish on AVGO, we talked about, is under 180. So what I'd be watching for, but I think AVGO tops out. Again, you're rejecting from your previous low from January. Not a good sign. All these wicks here, very ugly, looks weak. Personal opinion, what I'm looking at there. Also, SMH did, try to bounce up, failed, kind of pushing back down. Concern there. Favorite semiconductor name to the downside is ARM. I'm not going to go too much more into that. This is a really big play in Discord we're looking at right now. This might be one of the top plays over the next 2-3 weeks. I'm not going to lie. Rapid fire here. Microsoft. I think this is one of the best Mag 7 setups out there right now. This is crazy. And again, it's one of those plays. I don't know why people aren't talking about it. I don't know. I sit back and I'm like, okay, let's take a good place, right? Let's take a step back. We're not day trading today. We're done trading for the day. Let's look for setups. I look at Microsoft every day and I'm like, why is no one talking? Like, why is no one talking about the setup here? Microsoft, basically, this is the first week of January in 2024 right here. You basically, from that point, ranged from 390 to really like 430. Like, you had some breakouts, but you really sat in this area for the bulk of 2024, which is kind of like shocking that Microsoft didn't do anything, right? So this is your basic support. Now, Microsoft has flipped this point. On the 1 hour chart, past few days, you flip below and you're rejecting. That is literally insane. That is insanity. There's only one downside to this entire chart, and it's when you go to the weekly chart, you have a weekly demand down here. That's the only downside here. If Microsoft loses this demand as well, so if you get aggressive and short here, which I would go time, but do what you want to do, you could potentially drop down to 350 in a blink. There's no liquidity there. Monster setup, would be watching it, one of my top names. I know you guys came for the sauce, but you're going to get some Apple. No pun intended. Apple looks pretty terrible, breaking down. I already posted on Twitter below 214.7. That was when you go short. Do what you want to do now. But again, 206-ish is where I'm looking at, 206, 207. And then after that, $200, 2023 highs. That's what I'd be looking for personally. Top name there. Bezos. I know. I've been talking a lot about Amazon. And I think you might do it. So you're saying I'm saying there's a chance, boys. I'm saying there's a chance. Amazon has grinded for days below your 200 daily moving average. Dear Lord, give me strength, right? Give us the breakdown. You have a gap back here as well. Gap really is all the way down here, 187. Amazon flagging, breaking down, looks awful, looks terrible. Yuckers, gross, don't want to see it. There's a few more names, guys, but I got to go. I got to get out of here. Tesla's also getting ragtagged. Another short we had on the day in Discord. Congratulations, Discord. We woke up and we were just exuding confidence today, boys. That's what you wanted to see. That breakdown, absolutely gorgeous. That was NVIDIA. We went short on Tesla here immediately this morning, that break. So, again, appreciate you guys. Thanks for the follows, subscriptions, everything like that. I appreciate you. Links are all down below. Have a good one. Educational video should be coming out tomorrow on the second channel. Have a good one. See you guys there.